As a preliminary matter, this is Woody Knight, Chair of Newbury Planning Board. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Planning Board members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Peter Pecos.
Yes, sir.
Larry Murphy.
Yes.
Scott Kent.
Yes, sir.
Steve Mangian.
Aye, sir.
And Kristen Grubbs.
Yes. Aye.
Director. And
Yes.
we have Sadie Woodward with us tonight, our Assistant Planner.
I think she's joining, but she might be running a little late.
Okay, great. Good evening. The July 16th, 2025 open meeting of the Newbury Planning Board, which is conducted remotely consistent with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, which extends the Governor's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL-C 30A 20, until June 30th, 2027. For this meeting, the Newbury Planning Board is convening by video conference via Zoom, as posted on the Planning Board's agenda, which can be found at the town's website. You may join us by going to http://zoom.us and entering meeting ID number 832-7141-3056 and the passcodes 108790, or by calling in 1-929-205-6099 US and entering the meeting ID number and passcode when prompted. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that attendees are participating by video and/or telephone conference. The meeting is also being broadcast live through local access cable channel 9 on Zoom and on Zoom and at https://newburytv.wixsite.com/tnctv. And the recording will be available on the Newbury Access YouTube channel as well. Before we turn the first item on the agenda, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. As chair, I'll introduce each speaker on the agenda. After speakers conclude their remarks, I'll go down the list of board members, inviting each one by name, providing comments, questions, or motions. For all attendees except board members and staff, please remember to mute your audio when you're not speaking. On Zoom, use the mute button. And on your telephone, please use *6 to toggle mute and also to unmute. There'll be an opportunity for public comment and questions during the public hearing. After board members have spoken, I will afford the public an opportunity to comment and or ask questions. I'll seek questions and comments through the Zoom raise hand button. Video conference participants, to raise your hand, hover over the button of the Zoom window below the photo gallery and click on the image of hand that appears. Please ensure that your name is fully and correctly displayed on the participant list. Telephone participants, to raise your hand in a Zoom meeting, hit *9 on your telephone keypad. I will then allow questions and comments from members of the public who have raised their hands in the order in which they are listed, which is determined by the order in which the people click on the raise hand function. Each participant will be called on to provide his or her name and address, and then may ask a question or make a comment. Please do your best to keep your comments to about 3 minutes or less. Your hand will be lowered when you have been given the floor for your questions. I'll afford the applicant or his or her representative the opportunity to reply. I will then continue down the list of those in the raised hand column, and again, afford the applicant or representative an opportunity to speak. Should there be a written submittal of questions or concerns, they will be noted for the record. The applicant will be afforded the opportunity to speak if the issues raised have not yet been addressed. And finally, each vote taken in this will be conducted by roll call vote. All right. So turn the agenda. The first thing on the agenda, we have 11 and 15 Sunset Drive. We have a submission of Form A and plan for approval, not required lot line division. Owners, 11 Sunset Blackbird Trust, assesses map 02-0-78 and 15 Sunset Red Wing Trust, assesses map U 02-0-80. Do we have Gerald Vendetti here? Yes,
We
I
do.
think-
I think you're still muted, Jared.
I think the mute button appears in the bottom left.
Yeah, how
Oh,
about
there
now?
you go. Yep,
You
I
got
can
it.
hear you.
Okay,
And I said your name correctly, right, Vendetti?
Gerald Vendetti, yes.
Okay, thank you, Gerald. You want to explain the purpose of the A&R plan and why it's being submitted, please?
Yes. When we purchased the property, it consisted of two lots, Red Wing and Blackbird. Originally, the lots were consisted of four lots going back to the I think it's 27 or 36 subdivision. At some point along the way, two of the lots were merged into one lot, and two of the other lots were merged into another lot. So we ended up with two lots from the four original subdivided lots on Plum Island. However, during that merger, lot 15, there was a house on that lot. That house was about 1/3 of its area on the adjacent lot of lot 11. Also, it didn't have any access to a roadway because they had original access to a street that never got improved. So there was no access from lot 15 to an improved highway or street. So the process was to go to the Board of Appeals and redo the subdivision line so the house on lot 15 was not on a portion of lot 11, and also to gain access to Sunset Drive. So we have approximately a 20-foot portion of the property currently with the new layout, subdivision layout, on having at least a 20-foot access onto Sunset Drive. That's why we went for the new subdivision line.
Okay. Do we have that, Kristen?
I can share it. Jerry or Everett, do you want me to share it?
Sure, that'd be fine,
Yeah.
Kristen. Thank you.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, if you're finished, Gerald, I'll ask the board, do they have any questions? Let's start with Peter.
At this time, no.
Larry?
No, I don't have any questions.
All right, Scott
No questions.
and Steve. You have
No
any questions?
question. No questions.
Okay. I don't have any questions either. And Kristen, everything's in order with this plan and it's gone before ZBA as I understand, so we're all set there, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Well, then if that's the case, I'd entertain a motion to approve plan of land at 11 and 15 Sunset Drive, Newbury, Mass. Surveyed for Gerald Vendetti, excuse me, by Winter GEC LLC, date June 30th, 2025.
You have it.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Okay, Peter, second by Larry, thank you. Roll call vote, Peter,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Thank you, Jerry Fandetti,
Yes.
and good luck with your project.
Oh, thank you very much for the approval.
Thank you.
Okay, goodbye.
Have a good night.
Yep, you too. Have a good day, evening, rather.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right, moving on to the next thing on the agenda. We have planning board meeting minutes for July 2nd, 2025. Has everyone had a chance to review those? Seeing a half a nod, so I'm assuming yes. Thumbs up, very good. I'd entertain them. Does anyone have any corrections or modifications to the minutes? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes for July 2nd, 2025. As drafted, we don't have any amendments, so approve the minutes as they are.
So moved.
Thank you, Steve. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Scott. Roll call vote. Peter,
Yes, sir.
Larry?
I'm going to abstain, Woody. I missed the meeting.
Oh, yes. Okay. Thank you, Larry. Scott
Yes.
and Steve Mangian.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. So that meeting minutes are approved. Moving on, next item on the agenda, liaison meeting reports. We have ZBA. Larry?
Sorry. Yeah, the meeting tomorrow night. They only have one matter on the agenda, which is a public hearing to the property at 2 Plum Island Boulevard. That's the former Plum Island Grill property, and the applicant is proposing to build 2 residential townhomes with parking underneath on that lot. So they're on tomorrow for a special permit. And that's all I have for ZBA.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Conservation Commission, that would be me. We didn't have, we're on summer schedule. We had a meeting, the beginning of the month. I did report on last meeting, and we will be meeting on the first Tuesday of August. So I'll have a report on that at our next meeting. Kristen, MVPC.
Yeah, so the regional planners monthly meeting takes July and August off, so no meeting for that group this month. And same for the commissioners. Sadie, who's our new assistant planner, thanks for joining tonight, Sadie. She and I attended a regional subcommittee, which is called the Merrimack Valley Safe Streets Alliance. And it's a group of planners and advocates from the regional towns who work on complete streets and multimodal transportation projects across the region and share projects and learn from each other. And that group is kind of doing some sort of planning on how to expand its efforts and get people in the communities involved in those kinds of projects. So we did have that meeting last week, and Merrimack Valley Planning Commission is hiring another transportation planner, so they will be providing more support to expand. So I hope to, at a later meeting, bring a little more information about that regional effort back to the planning board and the public. And that's it for this month. Woody.
Okay, thank you so much, Kristen.
Yep.
And thank you, Larry. All right, I have 7:15. So our first public hearing scheduled for this evening, 34 Central Street, level 2 site plan review. The applicant for Newbury Heights multifamily housing site plan review project at 34 Central Street has requested a continuance to August 6, 2025. There will not be any discussion of the project tonight. Any new materials submitted are being uploaded to the current projects page on the planning board pages of the town website. So that being said, I'd entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for the Newbury Heights project at 34 Central Street to August 6, 2025, at 7:15 via Zoom.
You have it.
Thank you, Larry. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Scott. Roll call vote, Peter,
Yes, sir.
Larry,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes, sir.
Steve,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. So we'll be seeing them at our next meeting. Our next public hearing tonight is for 100 High Road LLC application for our 2 lots definitive subdivision. I'm recused from this, so I'll turn this over to Pete, and I'll see you guys when you are done.
Thanks, Woody.
Yes,
Larry,
thank you, Pete.
would you mind reading the legal notice?
I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
Yeah, the following legal notice was published in the Newburyport Daily News on June 16th and June 23rd, 2025. This is Town of Newbury Planning Board Public Hearing Notice Definitive Subdivision Plan. Residents of the Town of Newbury and other interested persons, please note that on Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025 at 7:15 p.m., the Newbury Planning Board will hold a public hearing virtually via Zoom to consider an application submitted by the Moore & Cameron Group, Inc. for approval of a definitive subdivision plan for a 2-lot subdivision at 100 High Road, Newbury, Mass. Assessors map R34, Lot 21. Property owner 100 High Road, LLC. The proposed subdivision is shown on drawings entitled, quote, definitive subdivision in Newbury, Massachusetts at 100 High Road, Assessors map R34, Lot 21, end quote, dated May 21, 2025, prepared by the Moore & Cameron Group, Inc., and described in accompanying application materials. Copies of the application are on file with the town clerk and in the planning office, 12 Kent Way, Byfield, Mass., and are available for review during regular business hours. The application is on file with the town clerk and in the planning office at 12 Kent Way, Byfield, Mass., and may be viewed on the town website at www.townofnewbury.org/planning-project-applications-and-plans. For more information or to obtain a copy of the application, contact the planning office at 978-465-0862, extension 336. All persons interested or wishing to be heard relative to the proposed development are invited to participate in the meeting remotely from their computer, tablet, or smartphone at https://us02web.zoom.us/j/83271413056 or by telephone by calling 1-929-205-6099 and using meeting ID 832-7141-3056, or may watch the meeting live on local access cable channel 9 at https://newburytv.wixsite.com/TNCTV by Woody Knight, Chair, Newbury Planning Board.
Larry, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Kristen, just want to confirm that all the butters notices were confirmed and have been sent.
Yes, they were.
Great. We'd like to welcome the project representatives, John Moran from the Moore & Cameron Group and Tom Neely, the applicant. So who would like to start our conversation?
Good evening, John Moran here. For the record, we're the civil engineers on the project. We're here tonight representing 100 High Road LLC, and Tom Neely is here from 100 High Road LLC tonight. So if it's okay, would I be able to share my screen?
You sure can.
Yep, you should be able to now, John.
So I think you should all be seeing the plan right now.
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So as stated, we're proposing a definitive subdivision for the property located at 100 High Road. I'm just going to go to the existing conditions plan. So this lot is approximately 3.82 acres. This site is located in the RAG zoning district. As you know, that's 40,000 square foot minimum lot size, 125 feet of frontage. So, the lot comes in off of High Road. It actually has about 227 feet of frontage on High Road, and then dog legs to the right. As I had stated before, it's approximately 3.82 acres. On the site, you've got an existing dwelling with a pool, septic system, and a detached barn out at the rear of the structure. The majority of the site is open. There's just some vegetation along the rear property line.
Yeah.
And the existing structure is serviced by town water. There's an existing water main on the opposite side of the street, I believe. Yeah, there's a hydrant over across the street. So the proposal is to subdivide the lot into 2 additional house lots. And the existing structure will actually be an A&R lot, or an approval not required lot, as it has the minimum required frontage on High Road. When we looked at this development, because of the fact that it was only 2 houses, we looked at ways to try to minimize the impact this development would have and try to maintain the rural character of the neighborhood. So we actually looked at Knights Court, which is located just north of our site. I'm going back to the index plan of the site. This is our site right here. Knights Court is to the north. And there's actually same exact scenario. There's 2 houses located on Knights Court. When Knight Court was developed, it was granted variance waivers from the subdivision regulations to minimize road width, right-of-way width, cul-de-sac need, things like that. In an effort to minimize and maintain the rural character of this development, we looked at some of those same waivers. And obviously, before we did any of that, we created, a by right subdivision plan. So what was submitted with the subdivision set on sheet 3 was an actual subdivision design that completely complies 100% to your planning board rules and regulations with regards to subdivisions, pavement width, right-of-way width, cul-de-sac size. And as you can see, with the size of that cul-de-sac, even though we do have 3.82 acres, it's a massive amount of pavement associated with this development just for 2 single-family house lots. So again, we went back and looked at potential variances that we could get from the regulations, and we ended up with a site design that looked more like this. And I'll go through the waivers in a minute, but we looked at reducing the pavement width from, I believe it's 22 feet required to 16 feet, which is what's required for a common driveway. And under your regulations, 2 lots would be allowed on a common driveway. Instead of a cul-de-sac, we were proposing a T-turnaround, very similar to what Knights Courts did. Since the definitive subdivision was submitted, we have received comments from Lieutenant Grant from the fire department, and Mr. Nevy has actually met with Mr. Grant, and I'll let him talk about his meeting with Lieutenant Grant after I'm done giving my presentation, and I'll also address comments from the board. But again, we're proposing a T-turnaround to minimize the amount of pavement. And what that did is it resulted in a lot less grading, a lot less impervious coverage, which reduces the amount of drainage required. As required under your regulations, the drainage system has been designed in accordance with the state standards as well as your local drainage regulations. Because of the project isn't that big, the drainage design is stone trenches along the edges of the, I call it a driveway because again, it's servicing 2 houses. So we were looking at a 16-foot paved driveway, gravel shoulders on either side with perforated pipes in them. The driveway would be crowned, drainage would get into the stone trenches, directed towards a forebay, directed towards a very shallow infiltration basin. And we're able to comply with the stormwater standards based using this design. And all that information was submitted in a technical report with the application. We have not received comments back yet from your consultant, your engineering consultant. So we look forward to seeing those when those come in. Currently, the dwellings are proposed to be serviced by individual wells, and we're proposing individual septic systems on each lot. Soil testing was conducted out on the sites in the presence of the Board of Health agent. That information was submitted, certified soil evaluation forms were submitted with the subdivision application. We pretty much engineered the septic designs already, so the designs that you see on these plans are pretty much the engineered septic design. They may be tweaked later when we submit the final designs to the Board of Health, but the locations are pretty much exactly what they're going to be. The grading is the same as well. We've graded them out so that we know where those proposed finished grades will land. So with regards to the waivers requested, I'll just run through these really quick. These were also submitted with a narrative that was submitted with the subdivision application. As one would do, we also put them on the subdivision plan. So I'm just going to go through them quickly. In accordance with section 117-18C, we're requesting a waiver to not be required to submit an environmental analysis since the proposed development is less than 5 lots. Your regulations allow this waiver, again, if you're under 5 lots. The proposed subdivision will create 2 additional residential dwellings with minimal impacts on the land. There are no wetlands on or near the property. We are not located in a floodplain. Therefore, and the drainage design has been designed in full compliance with the town of Newbury stormwater management and illicit discharge and erosion control rules and regulations. So we don't feel that an environmental analysis is necessary, and we're requesting this waiver. In accordance with section 117.21D, a waiver is requested to not require the 30-foot minimum radius roundings at the intersection with High Road. So again, the design was minimized to a 16-foot wide driveway. So the roundings that you would usually have on a subdivision out on High Road would no longer be necessary. This was very similar to Knights Court to the north, so we're requesting that same waiver relief. In accordance with section 117.23A, a waiver is requested to allow a reduction in the minimum right-of-way width from 53 feet to 40 feet. Again, the proposed subdivision will create 2 additional residential lots. And a larger right-of-way is not necessary for that size development. A 40-foot right-of-way is consistent with what Knights Court was designed, and we did not feel that the need for a 53 right-of-way was required, especially if we are granted the relief for the width to the roadway width. In accordance with section 117.23B, a waiver is requested to allow 120-foot wide outside diameter cul-de-sac where 165 foot is required. And we're requesting to eliminate a paved cul-de-sac and allow a T-turnaround. Again, the reason for this is really to try to maintain the rural characteristics of the development. I know you only saw it briefly, but here's your conventional layout for what's required for right-of-way size and cul-de-sac size. And you can see the massive size of this cul-de-sac, the roadway, in comparison to the development of the 2 lots. And if the board is willing to grant the relief, much smaller development, a huge reduction in the amount of impervious surface, and it'll allow the project to blend more with blend into the rural character of the neighborhood. and not have a massive paved turnaround just for 2 single-family house lots. So we feel that's a waiver that's would be advantageous to the town. In accordance with section 117.24, which is dimensional criteria for the roadway, we're requesting the following. So allow the paved road to not be centered in the right of way. And the reason for that is based on where the right of way is located. If you center the paved road in the right of way, it'll be closer to the abutter. We're actually removing an existing wood road that kind of comes down that's actually closer to the abutter than the proposed road would be. So our goal is to try to get the roadway as far from the neighbor as possible. And by not requiring the road to be centered in the right of way, that'll allow us to do that. Again, we're requesting reduction in the pavement width from 16 feet or from 22 feet to 16 feet. Knight's Court was actually 15 feet. The proposal complies to what's required for a common driveway, 16 foot wide. So we felt that it was appropriate for a 2-lot subdivision. And again, reducing the pavement width will allow the subdivision to fit better with the rural characteristics of the neighborhood. Under the regulations or under the typical roadway cross-section, there's a 5-foot wide sidewalk. There is no sidewalk on the west side of High Road to connect into from the subdivision. And again, since this is only a 2-lot subdivision, we didn't feel that the need for a sidewalk would be necessary. The road traffic on this road's going to be very minimal. So it didn't make sense to add additional impervious surface to bring a sidewalk out to the road where there is no sidewalk on that side. In the typical roadway cross-section, there's a 5-foot wide grass swale. Again, as I had stated previously, we're proposing stone infiltration swales on either side of the roadway, so we're requesting relief from that section. And your typical road cross-section shows street trees planted along the right-of-way. The homeowners out in this neighborhood, there will be doing a landscape plan for the roadway entrance and beyond the entrance, which will be consistent with the rural character of the neighborhood. And we felt that those landscaping efforts would be more than enough instead of requiring the planting of trees along the edge of the roadway. I know that's a lot of information to kind of take in right at the beginning. At this point, I'd like to give the board an opportunity to ask any questions if they have any questions. If not, Mr. Nevi has, as I had stated, has met with Lieutenant Grant to discuss his comments. He actually prepared a response to Mr. Grant that we'll be able to discuss. Mr. Nevi's also met with the water department, and I'll have him talk about that. But at this point, I'll open it up to questions from the board. I would bring up that I believe you should have in your files, I believe 3 abutters had submitted favorable recommendations for the project. And again, I know that the board has the comments from Lieutenant Grant that was submitted from the fire department. And again, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, John. Hey, John, before we have the board ask questions, if we could just have kind of the fill-in from the fire department and what your conversation was regarding water, that'd be great.
And I'd be glad to discuss that, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board. Again, for your record, my name is Tom Nevi. I'm a registered land surveyor and a civil engineer, and have worked with John for probably 25 years or more, and enjoyed every minute of it. And you did a nice job presenting, John. I can fill in a little bit on my task. My task was to meet with the water distribution superintendent of Newbury and I did that. And you should have a letter in your file that indicates that he has determined there is sufficient volume and pressure for fire protection and also sufficient water supply for the residential homes. I also met with the fire department with Lieutenant Keith Grant. He's your fire prevention officer. And I was really impressed. I've done this for 35 years. And when someone says to me, can I use your 30 scale, and starts to measure things on my drawing, then I was pretty impressed. So he really knows what he's doing. He also walked me through all of the equipment that the fire department had. He, in detail, reviewed the Massachusetts Comprehensive Fire Code 527 CMR1 and indicated that design criteria for access for emergency vehicles into any site. So we had quite a comprehensive meeting. And as a result of that, I've submitted some revised changes to the drawings that I hope are acceptable to the board. One of them is what is shown on your screen right now. And it was some changes, minor changes to the emergency turnout detail. But I put specific requirements on there. Both sides of the turnout, he wanted to increase the radius of the right-of-way to 35 feet. We had it at 30 feet. And he also wanted specific distances of the turnaround from an inflection point, which I show on the drawing. And he wanted 50 feet long spurs off of that T turnout, which is shown. And then after that point, he said he would prefer to taper that into a 12-foot typical driveway to each of the buildings. So that drawing is revised per the fire department regulations, and it conforms now to the comprehensive fire code that Keith had gone over with me. The second part of the project was to look at the profile, the roadway grades, and the actual construction of the roadway coming in. So what we talked about was, anyway, there you go. Thanks, Sean. We talked about the roadway grade coming in, and we talked about the width of the roadway. And even though we were trying to mimic the common driveway aspects of your regulations, we actually opted for a wider road than 16 feet. But he was requiring us to have a paved way of 20 feet wide, which, as far as the comprehensive fire code was concerned, was the minimum requirement for a roadway for access of emergency vehicles. And he went over that with me. So he said we could either have a gravel road 20 feet wide and or a paved road. And we certainly would prefer to pave the road. He was thrilled about that. But so we would like to revise our project at some point once we do get technical review and comments from the board. Hopefully we can revise it to a 20-foot wide paved way. We also talked about the grade of the road, and even though your regulations for common driveway allows up to a 15% grade, I just felt that was quite excessive. So in my experience, in all the years I've done this, I've tried to keep a roadway grade or a driveway grade 10% or less. So what I'm proposing is a 10% grade of the middle part of the roadway profile. That accomplishes a lot of things. It provides proper access. It provides the revised grade that's allowed under the comprehensive fire code, but it also creates less fill and less width of the base of that road. So if we're allowed to reduce the grade by 2% and have, even though we have a 24-foot wide roadway, paved way, 20-foot wide, we would reduce the base of that road by almost 12 feet, which I think is considerable. And it would be less impacting as far as visually to the neighbors, and also less impacting because it would require much less fill. So you can see the colored line that I drew on the drawing is substantially less than the grade that would be required if we stuck with an 8% grade. So I responded back to Lieutenant Brandt with those two changes and a narrative of why I made those changes. And I believe those changes are consistent with everything that we reviewed during my meeting with him, which was pretty comprehensive. So I appreciate the opportunity to present it to you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thanks, Tom. Let me go through the planning board members and see if anyone has any questions. Larry, at this time, do you have any questions, sir?
Yeah, just a few, Peter. Thank you. So do I understand that you're proposing private well water and septic system? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, you can't tie into Newburyport? Is that
We
correct?
can. We can. I've been living in West Newbury for quite a while, and I have a garden. I have nice landscaping, which usually turns to a gray hayfield, and we constantly have water bans. And I think it was an environmental selection by me, basically saying that I believe the portable water by a well. I lived in the town of Boxford for 25 years, and I had a well water, and it served us well for many years. But I just felt that in this case, with a modest yard and landscaping and possibly a garden, we would be better served by having our own water supply and not have to depend on the town or be subject to any limitations based on any water restrictions. So it was just a personal decision.
Okay. Now, Lot 1A, they still going to continue to access off of High Road, or will they be using the proposed?
No, they'll have the access off a High Road. They have a driveway there. It's a short driveway into the 2-stall garage, which is facing High Road, and we don't propose any changes to that lot whatsoever.
So basically, it'll just be lots 2 and 3 that is using the new way.
That's
the proposed way.
That's correct.
Do you see the need for a homeowners association?
We don't. We think that we could handle it, and we'd be happy to submit. I've done many of these in the past, and we'll be happy to submit a common driveway maintenance agreement to the board for your review. A simple agreement that creates private driveway, requires 100% of the maintenance to be handled by the 2 lot owners. Hopefully they'll get along and everything will be fine, and they'll plow it and maintain it and take care of it. It's going to be, it's an affluent community, and I'm sure the houses will be a substantial value. So I can't imagine that they won't get along and do a nice job, but we propose it to be a private concern.
Yeah, even though it looks like a common driveway, legally, it's going to be a private way.
That's
I
correct.
appreciate what you're trying to do.
Yes, it will be.
I'm sorry.
It absolutely will be a private way.
Yeah. And have you given any thought to possibly duplexes or accessory dwelling units?
We have, but I don't think that's going to happen. I just think that, we haven't marketed the property, but I'm trying to keep low impact, something that might be, like a farmhouse type of a dwelling unit. On one side, you could see that we may have a detached garage, which might have, a little guest suite above it. But, I don't think, certainly if somebody did build something like that and they wanted to convert it to an accessory dwelling unit, I think it's allowed, but those aren't in the plans at this point.
Okay. Thanks. Well, obviously I'd be interested in seeing what the peer review report and final sign off from the fire department, but I appreciate what you're trying to do.
Thank you.
That's all I have for now, Pete.
Thanks, Larry. Scott Claire, do you have something?
Yeah, I had the same question, the public water supply. By the way, very nice presentation. I appreciate the detail. The I guess the, on the public water, have you ever had a well run dry? I know maybe West Newbury is has a great aquifer, but I've actually had one. I'm not sure if you might want to consider, just a suggestion, to maybe making a connection to a shut off, potentially for a future connection. You might want to consider that. Not required, of course. And then I guess that would be it, Pete.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Steve, do you have anything at this time, sir?
Yeah, I share some of the long-term concern about a private well running dry. I well remember in the 50s having the well that fed me or provided water to me going dry several times, and those conditions could recur. So I think Scott's suggestion about having a shut-off connection might be something to consider. And with that, I'm done.
And I think that's a good idea. We'll certainly will consider it. In all my experience, and I probably worked on, for 25 years, I lived in Boxford and worked on probably 80% of the developments in town, and we were always on a private well. Rollins was always our well driller, and we've never had a well go dry. I'm pretty fanatical. I don't stop at 1 and 2 gallons a minute, which is the state allowed amount. You get them deep, let them, catch good aquifer, and make sure you're not going to have any problems with it. And don't be worrying about $8 a foot. Just make it happen. It's a much more important resource to do that. So we'll make sure we have 2 really good wells.
Yeah, just one last comment on, it's not like you would need to, run a service all the way down the common driveway. I mean, it more than likely could be, off the main, onto the property 5 feet and call it a day. But it's just a suggestion that, maybe in 10 years, maybe in 3 years, 20 years, you might think, you'd never had an issue before. I guess it's luck of the draw. I've had a couple, but it could be a cheap date now for a future opportunity, 10 years from now.
And point well taken, Scott. So we'll take that into consideration. I'll talk with the water department and see just how we would do that. Just tap it and come across. We'd have to have two operations and 2 shut-offs, obviously, because if we're going to end up going 2 different ways, we'd need to get across there. But I'm sure they'll let us put it in the same trench and just split it up a little bit once we get across the street.
Just a couple comments from my end. John and Tom, thanks for a very good presentation. Very much appreciated. And I was glad to see that you had a conversation with Keith, and that you have gracefully migrated to a 20 width driveway. That's where we would probably head you in that direction if you weren't going in that direction, just for fire safety. And I'm very happy to hear that the hammerhead has been kind of redesigned a little bit. So those are 2 great things, and I'm glad that you're working collaboratively with the fire department. I also had the same concerns about well, but those have been discussed. I'm going to circle back to something that Larry mentioned. I'm going to, since we do have a by right ADU regulation within the state now, and we're trying desperately to create environments that allow for transitioning within a home, or having supplemental housing for children or for caretakers down the road. Planning for an ADU now is a very cost-effective and very beneficial aspect, and will increase the property value of your concept here. So I would echo Larry's suggestion and nudge you in the direction of give it some consideration, and maybe make some plans for it now, because 900 square feet or so, or a little bit more, can really be quite a benefit. So those are my my opening comments on this proposal, but let me turn to see, Kristen, do we have any public comment that has come in from this meeting at this point in time? If there are any individual public comment, please raise your hands. Kristen will acknowledge you, and I will ask that you state your name and your address for the record, and we're going to ask that you keep your comments to a couple, 3 minutes, just as we start this conversation with this applicant. So Kristen, I'll turn it over to you for direction.
Thanks, Pete. Oh, there we go. Sorry. There have been a couple of written comments. I do think possibly some of those who submitted written comments might be on the meeting, but let me just quickly go to the list and I will read who has submitted comments. Just going to read last names. Savage Creedon of 96 High Road, Scipione of 105 High Road, and Stokes of 90 High Road. And those are all posted on the website. And as John and Tom, I think, mentioned, they've all been supportive of the direction this project is going. So turning to raised hands, it looks like David, you're first in the queue. David Christensen.
Yes, hi, Dave Christensen, 2 Knights Court. I really don't have any objections to the plan. I would say that the T turnaround that we have and you've referenced before works fine for us. If the fire department has approved it, it must be fine with them too. So that part is good. I think you've answered most of my other questions. I do see in the grading of the property in general, when it's all done, there will be essentially a shallow draining ditch all around the periphery, exiting at the west side. So nobody spoke about that, but it will change the way things are draining currently. But I'm not sure that's a problem. We don't really seem to have a water problem flowing down from the field as it currently is. And as I say, we also have infiltration basin that works well. So in general, as I say, the driveway works fine. So it'd be nice to, we're a little afraid that the field will just get abandoned and turned into an ugly woods, but apparently you're going to build on it, so that's fine. My other question, I wasn't sure, you were saying that the access road belongs to lot 2 and 3. I see that lot 1 wouldn't have access then with to the access road from their existing barn. So that barn will be isolated, I guess you call it. So I don't know if that's a consideration, but in general, as I say, we agree with the looks of things. A wider driveway is better. That's good. So 20 foot sounds fine to me. And the driveway basically faces south, so it's almost always snow free. Even it does burn off early, and so it's a good place to have a driveway and the way it's facing. I don't know about the steepness. I assume it's the same as ours. But anyway, that's really all I have to say.
Great. Thank you very much, David. Appreciate you participating tonight.
Okay.
And next, Kristen.
Next we have, it looks like Matt McManus.
Great. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, Matt.
Great. First of all, good evening. I am over at 10 Old Farm Way with my family. And I jumped in late because I just came back from a baseball game with my son, so I will go back and watch this recording. So I apologize if the questions have been answered, and please direct me to the recording. If so, I don't want to tie up everybody's night any longer than needs to be. 2 main questions. Number 1, drainage coming from the property over towards Old Farm Way. Our good friends and neighbors, the Carews, abut our property, and when we have a good snow, a good melt, a good rain, you can literally ride a canoe down our, down our in between our yards, down towards the drain pipe that leads, out of our neighborhood. So just concerned about that. Are you aware of that? Is there going to be anything done to, to mitigate that? And then secondly, I've never actually looked or had my property surveyed. I'm assuming by this drawing that the giant arborvitae trees are actually part of this project and part of the property of this project. I don't believe I own them or the Carews own them. And I'm just wondering, is there any plans to hack those down? Are they going to stay in place or what have you? It's a nice backdrop and a nice privacy thing for us. So I would be very much in favor of leaving them if at all possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I don't know if the applicant wants to touch on those or keep those in the thought process and come back with our next visit. I'll leave that up to the applicant. Okay, who do we have next, Kristen?
Not sure the name. Is it Cruz?
Yes, sorry, Steve Carew. I'm trying to figure out how to change my name there.
No, that's
Steve
fine.
Carew, 12 Old Farm Way. Matt, my neighbor, already asked a couple of the questions. My main question was the arborvitae and as well as the drainage that he discussed. And then the only other comment that I would have is I would be concerned about that barn not having access to the roadway because that's how the former tenants access the barn. So just a comment on that. But otherwise, do like the plans and what you're doing. So appreciate all the efforts you've made here.
Well, Kristen, if I can just, I'd hate to see things left unattended. So the arborvitaes along the property line are absolutely spectacular. And we have no intentions whatsoever of touching them. They perform delightful to keep privacy between the two properties. And they are totally on our property. There's survey stakes that are out in the field that are marked. If you want to take a look at them, you'll see that the arborvitae hedge is fully within the property. And as far as the drainage is concerned, it's been designed in a way that would not increase the rate of runoff leaving the property. And the town has a very specific requirement with respect to stormwater management, and we've met that criteria. And the infiltration pond that is designed and the infiltration trenches along the side are designed in a way so that most of the runoff will be directed into the ground and will percolate into the ground. So it's a very manageable, sensible way to handle the drainage, but the impact is, the same rate of runoff leaving the site as existing. It may actually change and be to your benefit, but we've been able to match it on our current design.
Steve, is that all your questions, sir?
Yes, thank you very much.
Great. Thanks for participating tonight. Appreciate it. Who do we have next, Kristen?
We have Laura Lee Scipio.
Hi, good evening. I'm at 105 High Road. I'm across the street. I just want to dovetail off of what Mr. Carew was saying and just say how much I appreciate the presentation, how thorough Mr. Neves and John have been. And having lived through a pretty massive development and living across the street for over 3 years from this beautiful farmland, myself and my husband just appreciate so much how conscientious he is to the environment. It's low impact, and we love that it's in the flavor of Newbury, and we're in full support of this. I'm just so appreciative of how this plan is, coming together and looking. And that's all I really wanted to say.
Great. Laura Lee, thanks very much, and we appreciate you participating tonight. Thanks. Kristen, do we have anyone else?
I do not see any more hands right now.
Okay. Kristen, do we have any departmental comments yet? Other than-
Yeah, nothing in addition to what has been said tonight. The plans have been submitted to all the department directors. There are no delineated wetlands on the site, so there's no need for permitting with Conservation Commission. And the Health Department and Fire Department have connected on the project.
Okay, great. So that being the case, it probably makes sense to schedule a site visit. Board members, do you think a site visit would be beneficial?
I do.
Scott, I think you're muted.
I think it'd be beneficial. I'd love to see the arborvitae hedge in the back and see the impact and, you know, the, neighbors in support. You know, on condition, I mean, that's, it's important. I think it'd be great to see.
Steve, you also in agreement?
Sure, I used to buy eggs there at one time, but I'm willing to see a wider piece of the property.
All right. Kristen, do we have any potential dates that we could float for a site visit?
I have not discussed with Tom yet,
Okay.
so that would be a question is what your availability is, Tom, and then just coordinating schedules among the planning board members.
All righty. So maybe we'll have you handle that piece. And that being the case, we probably want to give a few weeks just so that we can get a site walk done and we can gather information. So would it make sense, let's see, the 16th, would it make sense to continue this public hearing to the 20th of August? Because that'll give us time to get a site walk in. If there are comments or questions, have those answered and make sure that anything that needs to be reviewed can be reviewed.
Can I just make a comment on that, sir?
Sure.
I was hoping, I know we need a peer review, and when that comes in, undoubtedly, we are going to have to tweak the plans. And hopefully we'll have that, you know, in short order. So we'll be able to tweak the plans, and hopefully in 2 weeks, we'll be able to present those revisions, whatever, you know, and review the peer review as well. And I think that if I could get even a consensus of the board, if they feel like we're going in the right direction, if this seems like it's making sense, because I think that coupled up with the peer review and the revisions that we make, we want to try to move forward in a reasonable way and not contrary to anything that might be, you know, contrary to how the board is feeling. So any consensus that we could get.
Well, I think, Tom, that you've heard that pretty much everybody, you know, is kind of lined up here. There haven't been any strong objections, just a couple comments. So I
Okay.
think you're headed in the right direction. Your needle is pointed correctly. You
Okay,
have
good.
support of your neighbors, which is very, very helpful. You've already met with the fire department, which is great. And there's been some minor modifications. So I think, you know, going forward, you know, I think the August 20th might give enough time for things to come back and forth. You know, 4 weeks might be a good opportunity to reconvene with this. And if we need to, you know, go an extra 2 weeks after that, if there's some tweaking that needs to take place, we can always push her out 2 weeks. So that would be, I think, my suggestion to you,
Okay.
to John.
Okay.
If we reconvene with this public hearing on the 20th of August at 7:15. So I would entertain a motion in that accord.
So moved.
I moved.
All right, Scott, you've got the motion, and Larry?
I will second.
Larry's got the second. Okay, roll call vote. Larry on the motion.
Yes.
Thank you. Steve on the motion.
Yes,
Thank you. Scott on the motion.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, and I also would support that. Okay, folks, so we will reconvene this public hearing, or we will continue this public hearing on the 20th of August at 7:15. And at this point, I'm going to turn the chair back over to Woody.
Good.
Oh, hold on. Before we do that,
I
Todd,
just-
you have a finger up.
Just as a point of clarification, so if we do get a peer review, are we at liberty to make those changes and to work with your consultant on trying to satisfy his concerns?
I would have you run that through with our planner and,
Okay.
and streamline those actions.
Great, wonderful. Thank you so much. Appreciate everything that the board has done tonight.
Very good.
Nice job.
Okay. All righty, I'm going to turn this over to Woody. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Pete. We'll move on now to our next thing on the agenda, next public hearing, actually. It's a continuance, 2 Old Point Road. 2-8, excuse me, Old Point Road. Level 2 site plan review. Applicant has application for an as-built construction changes to approved site plan of bracket in a proposed new 40 by 40 pavilion structure. The Somerset Club at 2-8 Old Point Road, assessors map U 02-0-153A, owner of the Cottages Commercial LLC, Vincent Godin, manager, applicant representative, excuse me, Stephen Sawyer, Millennium Engineering. So with that said, welcome Vincent, welcome Steve. Would you like to share any updates as of date, please?
Yeah, sure. So we did submit, we submitted updated plans, I think it was a couple weeks back, and we're awaiting our plans and calculations in response to Joe's peer review, stormwater review, and we still have yet, unfortunately, we haven't got any response back from him. I think there was a slight delay and we had to replenish the peer review funds, but we're awaiting those responses. Now, one thing the board had asked for is some renderings, and actually Vincent just received those today, and I can share those. I can run through those with you now, and then that might be a good thing to do is just run through the renderings that were prepared as requested. Would you like me to do that? Yeah.
Yes, go right ahead, Steve. Yep, that would
All
be
right.
very helpful.
Very good. Okay, thank you.
I don't think anyone's seen them yet, so.
Yeah. Unfortunately, share. All right. So here is the colored rendering, of the pavilion and also the site itself. As you can see, it shows the gable end boarded up, but we show, to add some interest to the structure itself, we've left the truss system on the outside and then a sort of a board and batten area to fill that in. As you can see, it's light and air underneath it. Really not superimposing, not an imposing structure whatsoever on the property. And so one thing that the other renderings that Vincent had was some black and whites from all directions. And hopefully this is going to jump. Did that jump to the next picture?
Yes.
Or is it?
Yes, it did.
Okay, great. Now, sometimes you have to unload and reload. Okay, great. So this is you driving into the island back towards the bridge. As you're coming off the bridge and driving in, you can see the pavilion structure here as it blends in with all of the structure. It's really not it's definitely not an imposing structure whatsoever, with the low roof height and such, and blends in fairly well as you drive on the island. And then as you run in, you see the pavilion with the vegetation around the base and blending in with the structures throughout. I think with the open walls, it definitely it doesn't present any imposing or massive change to the view there. And I think aesthetically, with the board and batten in the timber framing, it looks quite nice. And then this is looking across from the old Plum Island Grill, looking straight across the street at the pavilion at the roof side. And then as we drive looking back the opposite way, you would ask for one leaving the island. So here, this is diagonally leaving from the opposite side of the street. I think it would actually be, as you're leaving the island, most of it would be covered if you're in the travel lane from the cars leaving. Most of it will be covered leaving the island. From this cottage here, you'd only see this corner. So as you can see, it's not an imposing structure whatsoever. It's tastefully done, and in keeping with, we believe it's in keeping with the island and the architecture on the island. So that's, I'll run back through. So run back through. So this is a side view. Closer view coming onto the island. Back from a further view, as you can see from a distance, it's really very de minimis and hardly noticeable. And then a colored rendering of the primary perspective of the pavilion. So is that I know you just received these today, but we definitely wanted to share them just to give you a heads up and share the renderings. So
Okay,
all right.
thank you. Do you have
So
anything
that's it.
to-
Yeah, so the other item that we did, based on the site walk, the intent is now to basically leave the dumpster at its location. And we're gonna relocate, there was a bike rack that was next to the propane tank. And we're gonna relocate the bike rack over to next to the merch shack, and the fence over near the entry. There was room for the bike rack there, and then we'd relocate that parking spot. There was room off the end of that propane tank. So there would be no loss of parking, and we just feel the location of the dumpsters is much more suitable for operations on the site. I have not submitted those plans yet with that change. I think we discussed it on site. Just wanted to bring that up, that's a change forthcoming. My plan is once we get input from the board tonight and any input from Joe, there would be one final revision submitted for the plans of record for the property.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
I'll turn to the board. Does anyone, Peter, do you have any questions for Steve or Vincent?
Yeah, sure. Unfortunately, these renderings just, arrived, and we like to have our information, as you know, a week before.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
Board has an opportunity to digest this. So I actually went down to Essex Co-op because I was picking up some materials, and I've seen the structure that is across the street from the Essex Co-op. These renderings do not in any way depict what the size of the building is, because it's a comparable building. And what I was envisioning that we would see would be an actual recreation of the structure, not an artist rendition, whether to scale or not to scale, with a road that appears wide and a car that looks like it might just be a single car. I wanted to see what it looks like with a structure there. And that's not what we got. And that's what we're kind of looking for. And that's what's going to help me be comfortable with this. So Vincent, I don't know how to say it, but that's what I was looking for, and that's what we had discussed. The size of this building, when you look at the Essex Co-op, is not represented in these renditions. These renditions are someone's creation. It's not
Peter, can I just
No,
interject
hold
there?
on.
Vincent,
Oh, yeah, all right.
Let me finish.
Please let
Okay.
Peter finish.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think it's very, very important, if you want this board to be able to endorse this, to have a true representation of, building size, height, not projected height, not a painting, not a drawing, but an actual, this is what it's going to look like. And there's technology out there that can do it, because we've had other applicants come in, present stuff, and we can see what it looks like. And we can see, we have a feeling of it. I don't have a feeling of this right now. I have a feeling of an artist interpretation that arrived at us this afternoon, which really irks me. So I'm going to be quiet now.
Okay. Larry, do you have any questions?
I do
I'll
not
leave
at this time.
one at the end, if you don't mind. You don't at this time, Larry? Is that what you said?
That's correct, Woody.
Okay, thank you, Larry. Scott, do you have any questions or comments?
I do agree with Pete. It'd be great to see something more exact, Vincent. The renderings were beautiful, no question. I had copies of those that hang them in my house. I mean, they're gorgeous, but they're not exact. And it would be really helpful to the board. I know we spoke of them, in the past. AI, whatever you can do. There's certain ways to get that done for us, on this is what you're buying and this is what you're placing, on the property dimensionally, what it exactly looks like. I think you can do it. It's been done before. That would be very, very helpful and much appreciated. And my other comment would be, I know Joe had, Sawatka had a lot of, comments on what was previously agreed to. It just seems like, we didn't get all the way there with some of the really requirements or conditions to the approval. It would be great to get an agreement in place. Getting to the point where we could get all the way there from where we were before, those conditions, and just get that behind us. And not maybe prior to an approval, but just an agreement that this would be part of really the approval, just to kind of wrap this thing up. Going forward, that would be very, very helpful and appreciated. Thank you.
Okay,
Great
thank you,
renderings, by
sir.
the way.
Steve, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, after listening to Pete, thinking I may want to do a drive down Route 1 and take a look for myself. Yes, the renderings on it are really beautiful to look at, and I could see hanging them up somewhere. But I remember when we did the site walk, towards the end of it, Kristen and I were standing some tens of feet to the south of the merchandise shack, and we're looking up at the sign for the Sunset Club. And I was using that as a benchmark to imagine the actual structure being there. And at that time, I think I shared with Kristen my comment that what I was feeling was some concern about the mass of the structure that we'd be looking at and what that'd be like. Since then, I've certainly paid a lot of attention as I go off the island. I'm driving down the Plum Island Boulevard and imagining the structure there, as well as when I'm coming out on Sunset Drive after going to the refuge. So I think that Pete and Scott's comments about some other renderings of the structure will be helpful. And with that, I'm
Is that
done.
all? Okay, thank you, Steve. And I just have a few comments. I agree with Pete and Scott on the renderings. They're nice. They show what you intend, and that's great. But I have just, and granted, I just saw them. I haven't had time to think about it or look at them because they just came in today. But I'd like to know an accurate height of that sign. I would like to know if the peak of this pavilion is going to be higher than the sign or lower than the sign. And another concern, and this is the gateway to Plum Island, so it's important that we all get this right and all have an understanding of what it's really accurately going to look like, and mainly height and what is the effect on the neighborhood. And the other thing that crossed my mind, other than knowing accurate heights of the sign, so you have comparison visually and accurate heights to the peak, is color. Is the color in the rendition that we just saw, a neutral color, going to be the color, or is this going to be bright orange? And I'll leave it at that for now. And go ahead and feel free, Steve, but please respond to anything that's been said.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. One thing regarding the rendering, the gentleman who did the rendering, I can tell you that he's very accurate as far as the proportions. He does these all the time. Very prominent architect who completes these. So typically his rendering is very proportional to the size of the sign, size of the building. So it definitely gives proportionally it's in comparison to the actual building. You give them the building, the elevation of the building, the footprint of the building, and he creates these. So I understand what you're looking for, but this is we provided these typically, and it is a good, accurate depiction of the structure itself. And we'll look into providing it's more of an AI or it's a photoshopped image. Basically, you try and Photoshop this image together. I believe there's ways to make that happen. And I guess also, I guess in response to Scott, what I'm trying to find out what conditions were left undone as far as is to button up those conditions. I'm just looking for a little clarity on what we should be responding to on that.
Well, we've got some pavement in the back. We've got the, I guess it's a little rain garden at the entrance. I mean, if we have Joe's comments, we could share them or.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So as far as that, we did respond to Joe's comments regarding the rain garden size. He had asked for a full update of the stormwater calculations, conforming it met the requirements. So we did submit updated stormwater calculations for the entire site, and Joe's currently reviewing those now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess I'd be interested in, Steve, just coming to a means to an end.
Yes. Oh, believe me.
Yeah. It'd
I hear
be
you.
great for, I think, everybody on the board, the town, Vincent, and you to get to a place where you potentially could get an approval, get what you want, built, get you into 100% conformance. And then, we could all, celebrate, maybe whenever. But I think I'm supportive of getting something done. But it would. And Steve, you've been around a long time. You're one of the best of the best. As you're coming down the turnpike, you get to a let's say a benchmark, an elevation. You establish that, and then you use whatever I wouldn't, we have the renderings. They're nice, but they're not exact. There is technology out there to take that elevation and it's on us to go out if we need to, again, to stand on that elevation and look, out onto the structure, or at least the elevation, or the plan, and say, yeah, this works. We just need a little bit more, it just needs to be more exact. And I do appreciate the architect being an expert at renderings, but I think you know what I mean. You're one of the best of the best. So I'm confident that you'll get us home at some point.
Thank you.
And thank you, Scott. Thank you, Steve. Steve Mangian, you have your hand raised?
Yes, I do. Trying to
Go
build
ahead.
off just building off of something you mentioned about the structure being part of the gateway onto the island as you're driving east. And what I've noticed in the last few days, well, I understand the gable end is not going to have any signs on it and that sort of thing. It's going to have that very nice looking, framing that will be visible. But I also noticed of late attached to the sign that says Sunset Club, another banner has appeared on it. And I found myself thinking, gee, is this something to be concerned about? How many banners, shall we say, are we going to see, which will have an effect on the whole visual presentation of coming onto the island? So I'm a little bit concerned about how additional banners, flags, flagpoles could start to appear, if not only on the sign that says Sunset Club, but on other parts of the structure, perhaps. So that's my gateway comment. And I'll put my hand down.
Okay, thank you, Steve. And I see Vincent, you have your hand raised. Go right ahead, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to address just a couple of those things. The actual structure that's at the Topsfield Fair, it is actually double the size of what we are planning there. So I that might have been it is 40 feet wide, but it is 80 feet long. So it does look dramatically, especially if you're looking at it from the side, dramatically larger than what we are planning to do at that site. So that is something to keep in mind as you go by it, that it is double the size. And then, I'm not against going to get the AI to do those scaling, but I will say the architect that did do this, we actually took pictures of the exact locations where these happened. We provided him the height of the sign that he scaled everything off of. So this wasn't just a necessarily a assumption. He scaled everything according to the actual pictures that were provided to him and the heights that were provided from that sign as kind of the point to do everything. But I definitely understand that given its location, you guys want to see something that may look a little more realistic, and just make sure that what's going in there is going to look like something similar, hopefully, to what those pictures show.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, thank you.
Woody, one more comment?
Yes, go right ahead, Scott.
Yeah, Vincent, very much appreciate that. And I'm not sure, like, we can't like mandate you to go out and get, an AI version of whatever. I mean, you could take those renderings and have Steve, put just dimensions, on those renderings. And based upon, a point or an exact place on the on a civil drawing. I mean that that might work. But we would be interested to see dimensions of the sign, existing elevation to top of sign, and actually bottom of these signs. So total dimension of the sign. So there'd be a lot that you'd have to provide us, dimensionally, that that could get it done for us. So I'm just speaking for myself, not the board. I don't think I would be against that, but it would require a lot of work, and I know Steve's capable, and he might be able to get us there. But I think what some of the board has seen in the past has been, fairly, exact, spectacular, it's real life. So I think it might be up to you. But in order to expedite things, you might want to, consider, some other means.
No,
And
definitely.
Thank you, Scott. Go ahead, Vincent.
Could you just put the some of the renderings up again? I just have one question, Steve, if you don't mind.
Yep.
And Woody, if that's okay.
Yep. And I just wanted to say too, it's the renderings, from the short glimpse we've had of them, appear to be the same height as the sign, but we really don't know. And using Topsfield as a comparison is great. It's a 40 by 80 instead of a 40 by 40, but is the roof pitch different? Is the height of it different? Are we looking at something that's taller in Topsfield and then trying to imagine that on Plum Island? So like a real life picture with this plugged into it would be great for everyone. I think the big thing for everyone, in my opinion, that from hearing everyone on the board is the height, so. And I leave that, left that said. Go ahead, Kristen, I'm sorry.
No, thanks, Woody. I just, could you, some of these pictures, what I'm interested in is the height of where the rest of your restaurant is, like the building that is the indoor space.
Oh.
Is that shown
That's,
on,
that's shown, but that it's, what happens is, as it fades away, it doesn't look as large. Because it's, I believe it's, this is that appears to be where the restaurant is, correct? On the left?
I think that looks like the neighbor's house. No?
Yeah, I think that might actually
Oh,
be
no, that
the
is right.
house over there. I don't think the actual barn structure is part of this picture.
Okay.
so I don't know if any of the other ones show it, but I guess and I know we're putting a lot out there right now, but
Yes, yeah.
I think one of the things I'm interested in looking at is not just the gateway in terms of the intersection and, you know, both sides of Plum Island Boulevard and how the whole gateway works, but I think it would help me a little bit from having done the site visit with you all to think about the pavilion in relation to the other buildings at your restaurant. Like, how does this hold together, you know, your plan for your property and your restaurant? Just the height is hard to tell on that side of the property from some of the renderings.
Okay.
And I guess I'll just say why I bring this up too is I actually, you know, was working for the town of Ipswich when you were starting to think about this project, and there was the Plum Island Turnpike Municipal Vulnerability Project was underway, where there was a lot of sort of regional and collective discussion and a working group, which Vincent, you were on, and I was from another hat that I was wearing at the time. But I think it was really exciting at that time to think about how this project was really meeting a lot of the resiliency conversations that we're having. I mean, it was really exciting that you were interested in having mobile buildings that could be removed in the case of flooding. And all of that was like a really exciting part of your project. So that is kind of the framework of, you know, understanding where this began for you and at the time for the community of people thinking about the issues of, you know, continuing to develop and create structures that are, you know, successful, obviously, as a business, as a home, as a commercial entity, whatever the initiative is, but also very aware of the challenges that resiliency needs, which is being ready for flooding and other kinds of, you know, impacts related to climate change. So I really like that this is open and that you're continuing to think in that way. And I think it would be helpful to me to see the whole project, you know, your whole business continuing to, you know, address those resiliency concerns.
All right, thank you, Kristen. Do any of the board members have any other questions before I ask the public? If there's any, ask Kristen if there's any raised hands from the public.
There are no raised hands, I don't think, at the moment.
Okay, and everyone's all set on the board? Okay, Vince or Steve, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
So I guess Vincent did have, I guess they had a resolution with the building commissioner.
Not necessarily a
Regarding sign-
resolution,
Yeah.
just kind of an initial discussion on signage side of things. I'm not sure if he's actually provided anything yet to the board, but I had a chance to meet with him when I was meeting on another matter and was able to get some initial feedback on kind of what he was going to be defining as signage and not as signage. Actually, if I could share a screen, I was going to show kind of a few of those items that we are addressing from.
So Vincent, I have existing and proposed if you want me to show them.
Oh, I've got the same thing as well.
Okay, great. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So this was a banner sign that that the restaurant had been given that they had kind of put up to kind of shield a little bit of this storage unit. And I guess it's considered a banner sign in his definition, and Newbury does not allow banner signs. So that has been removed. I don't know if I can go to the next one. There we go. That has been removed since then. And not sure what we'll do on that. Just maybe paint it just to make it look not gray. But that has been removed based on that discussion. I guess in his review of the state code of what is considered a sign, if it has the name of the business, it is, and it's, I guess, visible from the street, he deemed that would be, or I guess the state deems that is a sign. Because we were trying to figure out is a mural a sign and what that is. So once he figured that out, we said, no problem, we will change that. We've proposed to just kind of make something fun to put on there instead that doesn't have our business's name. This is just a mock-up. Nothing has actually been done there yet. And then the third one here in the parking lot that also has the logo in the name. We have a mock-up here. Let's see if it comes up. Does not want to seem to go. Let's see if I can open it up. There it is. I guess he kind of discussed here. Can you guys see that?
No, it didn't jump.
Did
No, it
not
didn't
jump.
Sometimes you gotta unload and then reshare.
Yeah, I'll stop and then try and reshare just that one image. Sorry about that. It doesn't zoom. There it is. Can you see that now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. And I guess in the discussion with him, he said, it still says Sunset, but he said as long as it's not the name of the actual business, Sunset Club, it's not considered the name of the business, and it's just a mural at that point. So I was planning on sharing these with the building inspector. We just got these mock-ups as well, and but we're hoping this resolves some of the signage issues that were kind of up in the air and a little bit unknown by everybody until Peter kind of dug in a little bit more.
Okay. Thank you for providing us with that. There's actually great visuals there. I know there are existing structures on the property, so.
I actually was just thinking I might ask that artist to see if he can stick it on there. Stick the pavilion on there.
something real life.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Existing around it is really what everyone's looking for with showing height. It's really I appreciate their artist renditions, but real life would be great. It's beyond me to know how to do it, but there's people out there that know how to do that. So after that, on the signage, I don't see anyone with any raised hands on the board. We don't have any members of the public with the comments or questions that I can see. Kristen, you don't see anyone, right?
No.
Okay, so I don't have any additional questions. I don't hear any additional questions. So would the board like to continue this public hearing? And when, Kristen, with your help, when would be a good time to have our next public hearing? The 6th or the 20th?
I do think that the peer review comments will come in soon. But I guess my question to Steve and Vincent is when do I'm guessing it might take a little bit to get some of the renditions.
Yeah, one thing is,
renderings.
I think we actually have 3 weeks between meetings, three weeks to the next meeting, correct? I believe we have an extra
Mhm.
week. And I think I'd like to, and my apologies for, we just got those renderings today, and I knew, I hate to spring stuff on the board right, instantly like this, but we're excited to share them. And we knew that we wouldn't be looking to close tonight and continue anyway, so hence the reason for sharing those. And I think what we'll do is, I'd like to continue to 3 weeks, and we'll see where we stand 2 weeks if we don't have our material into the board the week before the meeting, for them to digest, that we'd end up continuing to the second August meeting. But I think right now we'll try and keep the ball rolling and go for that first August meeting.
All right, I can respect that. I'll give you that opportunity. So with that said, I'd entertain a motion to continue this public hearing for 2-8 Sunset Drive, Sunset Club to August 6th, 2025.
You have it.
All right,
Thank
do I
you.
have a second? Thank you, Pete, and thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Roll call vote. Yeah. Roll call vote, Pete,
Yes, sir.
Larry,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes, sir.
Steve,
Aye.
and I vote yes as well. And thank you, Vincent, and thank you, Steve, for a very good discussion and informative progress
Thank you.
here. So
Thank you.
have a good night, guys, and
Thank
we'll
you.
we'll see you in 3 weeks. All right, so that's done. We'll go on now to the agenda here with no more public hearings. Old business. We have a request for approval of the minor modification plan and the Form F surety agreement for a bond for road construction on the Florence Bushy Lane subdivision off of Newman Road, assessors map R12-0-8E, owner Bushy Real Estate Trust, applicant representative Boston North Development LLC, Stephen Sawyer, Millennium Engineering. So I believe we still have Steve with us, and we have Ben here.
Yep, I'm
So would
here.
you, okay. Welcome, and would you like to present your request, please?
So it looks like we lost Steve, but Ben, can you sort of present what's
Yeah.
before the board tonight?
Yeah, I was just wondering where everyone.
Yeah, where did Steve go?
He
Give
left.
him a minute.
Hold on one sec.
I certainly can share the plan if,
Yeah, if you want to share the plan, Kristen, I don't have that ability.
okay.
And I don't see Steve on the participant list anymore. Maybe he lost connection.
Ben, do you want to just update on where things are with your request while I bring the plan up?
Yeah, I'm just texting Steve right now.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
So Kristen's going to be sharing the final approved plan for signature for Mylar, for the Mylar plan. We just want to let the board have one final review of that plan and weigh in any final comments so we could have that recorded. That was one thing on our agenda tonight, and also the bond approval, which has been reviewed by town council. And we were just getting that final board review of that as well. I think that was it.
Can you see the plan?
Yes, yep.
So just a reminder to the board or anyone listening, but this subdivision was approved in 2008 originally. So this is just a one-page plan that town council advised would be a recorded page, and it has references to the previously approved complete subdivision. But what's shown here is changes, slight modifications that the board has already approved at earlier meetings this year. If anyone has questions.
Any questions from the board? No, I'm hearing none. All right, so basically, Kristen, the board's members are gonna have to sign the Mylar, right? When it's provided.
Correct. Yep.
All right, so that's coming. So you'll notify everyone when that comes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna plan on dropping that off either tomorrow or Friday. We just wanted to have this meeting before we submitted it to you.
Okay, thank you, Ben. And then, so basically, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Form F surety agreement and the performance bond for road construction of the Florence Bushy subdivision, and to authorize myself, the chair, Woody Knight, to sign the Form F on behalf of the board.
So moved.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Larry, and thank you for the second, Scott. Roll call vote. Peter,
Yes, sir.
Larry,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
and Steve.
Since so much of this came up before I was elected to the board, should I vote or should I recuse myself?
You can abstain from voting if you wish, Steve.
I will abstain.
Okay, and I vote yes as well. So you're all set, Ben, and we'll be looking forward to the Mylar, and Chris will get a hold of us to get it
So,
signed.
yeah, sorry,
If we
Woody,
let it-
you do
is
need
there anything
another
else we need to-
vote just on the plan. You need a
Oh, on
separate
the-
vote to approve the modified plan for recording.
Oh, okay. I'd entertain a motion to approve the modified plan as we've seen here for, approve the modified plan.
So moved.
All right, in second?
You have it.
All right, thank you, Pete. Thank you, Scott, for the motion. Roll call vote. Peter,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes, sir.
Larry,
Yes.
and Steve.
Abstain.
Oh, yes, abstained. Yep, and I vote yes as well. All right. Sorry about that, Kristen. Thank
That's
you, Ben.
okay.
And good luck with everything.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Yep, have a good night.
You as well.
All right. I don't see anything else on here for old business. The only other thing I see on the agenda this evening is Claire's report from Kristen. So we'll turn it over to Kristen.
Okay, so just a final comment on the Florence Bushy that we just talked about, but Ben has said he is intending to start that construction, within the next couple of weeks. So we'll have our pre-construction meeting for that. And then people will see that road starting to be rebuilt on Newman Road soon. Let's see. We've had a number of meetings with projects that are working towards closing out. We're still working with K&R Construction on Boston Road. We had a site visit out there with Joe Serwaka and Mason Farrick and Sadie and myself, and looked at deviations from the approved plan and ways to, modify that. So Kevin is working on that, and we'll be hopefully bringing that back to the board in August. That's a request for a closeout and the as-built plan to be approved, and probably a site visit, I would think. We also had a meeting with Bill DeFrancesco, who runs the self-storage unit property abutting 84 Boston. And he is considering whether to possibly construct an additional building or two on the very back of his property in the area that's already been cleared and is flat. But he's not sure, so that project may also come for a closeout before he continues that, or he possibly could come to the board to ask for a modification. So I will keep you posted on that. We're still trying to get Gadsden Lane back to finish the closeout there with Adam True. And
Hey, Chris.
there was one more, but I forget. Yep.
One question on the self-storage.
Yep.
So he may have to, DeFrancesco may need to come back to close out the permit. Would he need to get approvals on a new project? Or could he do an extension with asking for a modification to include two additional buildings or whatever it is? I mean, what would that look like?
Yeah. So if he decides he wants to move forward with additional structures, it is not closed out yet with the planning board, so he could come and request a modification to the approved permit. The board would discuss whether it was a minor modification or a major modification, depending on what he proposes. And I don't have a lot of detail on, exactly what direction he's going yet. So it could be a modification. He also could close out what he's got and then at a future date come forward, and it would be a new site plan review altogether with public hearing and everything. The slightly tricky thing is he's already closed out his order of conditions with the Conservation Commission. So if he came forward on a new project, that would need to be a new permit altogether with the Conservation Commission. So
would it still need, if he's closed out with conservation and we approve a modification, would he still need to come back and go back before conservation? For a
yes.
Okay. Okay.
So essentially what you're saying is the ball is in self-storage's court as to what they're gonna do.
Yes. Yeah, he's thinking about it.
Okay.
Yeah, any other questions about those projects?
No, thanks for the update.
Okay, we are still, it's great to have Sadie on board, and we're going through the spreadsheet and there hopefully will continue to be other projects. We did, as you recall, we closed out 68 Green Street in June with their performance. Oh, it's getting dark out. With their performance guarantee, but we will also be looking at their escrow funds for peer review. Those need to get a vote from the board as well. So we're gonna, you'll see a few of these kinds of administrative things on upcoming meetings as we can get them before you. And then just a couple additional things. I just want to mention again that the request for qualifications is live for the Border to Boston Trail project from Byfield to Newburyport. So that is on the town website under the bids tab on the homepage. And I think I've received at least 7 requests from transportation and consulting firms for that RFQ document. Bids are due August 5th. So it's getting a lot of interest. I think regionally it has a lot of interest because that segment of the Border Boston Trail is one of the sort of gaps in the whole regional trail from Boston to the border of New Hampshire. So there's a lot of regional interest, and it's exciting that there's a lot of consultant interest as well. So that committee has 4 members recently appointed, the Border to Boston Trail Committee. And I think a 5th is requested appointment at the upcoming select board meeting. So it's gonna have, Sadie and I are gonna be supporting that committee, and it'll have its kickoff meeting in a couple weeks at the end of July. So just excited to have that project moving forward, as well as ongoing work for the Byfield to Georgetown section of the Border to Boston Trail. So that's a complicated procurement process. And, you know, we're a small town, and projects like this do take a lot of different folks in the offices working together to pull all that together. So just kudos to all the colleagues around here who've been helping with that. And then the other sort of regional discussion that's been happening recently is a Towards Zero Waste initiative that Newburyport and the surrounding towns are starting to talk about. I may have mentioned this previously, but the state has essentially put forth guidance and goals to reduce waste 80% by 2050. And all the towns in Massachusetts need to be helping to do that work. So there's some conversations about, you know, plastic-free initiatives, composting. The senior center in Newburyport has been doing a lot of work to sort of try out different strategies related and get public interest. And they're sort of bubbling up. And I think hopefully what Sadie and I are hearing is in the fall, there will be some kind of summit to discuss this Towards Zero Waste project regionally. So we'll see where that goes as well. And then finally, sorry, I know it's late. I have sent emails around about a meeting to discuss, you know, some of the projects for the zoning amendments for fiscal year 26 and other long-term planning goals. So I need to circle back on that, but I do think there was possibly a week at the last week in July that people seem to be available. I don't have that date in front of me. I don't know if anyone else
29th?
remembers. 29th? 29th or 30th? I think the 30th was looking like it was gonna work. And then I think I did want to get a little bit of a sense of like an evening meeting or daytime meeting. Tuesday, the 29th and the 30th of Wednesday. Actually, I know it was the 30th because the Board of Boston meeting was scheduled for the 29th. So I hope. How does Wednesday, July 30th look for a workshop meeting with the board?
Looks okay to me.
Same.
And we're talking in person, and are we talking afternoon, evening?
That's the question.
What's the preference?
My preference would be a daytime, like 2 to 4 or donuts and coffee in the morning. But I know people work, so might not work.
Well, if we do it in the morning, and if it's around 8:30, I will bring Abraham's bagels.
How do people feel about having their brains fully going at 8:30 in the morning with bagels?
I'm fine with it.
Sounds like a good way to start the day.
Scott,
I'll make it work.
specifically what bagels?
I will bring an assortment but they're from Abraham's and Newburyport.
All right. Assortment.
So,
8 o'clock,
Okay.
8:30 sounds great.
Do you have would you like anything special, like an everything or a egg, anything like that?
I'll get back to you.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
I'll wait for the surprise.
All right.
We've got a toaster here, so.
All right.
Steve, is that good for you, 8:30 in the morning?
I'll find out. I'll say, if I'm running late, I'll let you know.
Long commute from Plum Island too, so.
How about you, Pete?
Yep, I just put it on my
Okay.
calendar.
I'll make it work.
Okay,
Hey, Steve, yeah, I mean, seriously, I mean, you're up at sunrise, right? I mean, that's gotta be beautiful out there every morning.
I may be up at sunrise, but when I'm ready to turn the ignition is another issue.
I gotcha, okay.
Oh,
All
if you
right,
can make it
thank you.
soon, that'd be great. All right,
Kristen, if I may, 2 quick comments. When you were talking about moving towards zero waste, I think it'd be good to remind the town and maybe other towns about the need for a yard waste composting facility somewhere. And that would be a bonus. And on an unrelated matter, I think I mentioned at the last meeting, or maybe I didn't, that what was up with the traffic counter on the Plum Island Boulevard, Plum Island Turnpike, just east of the bridge. As it turns out, it was only there for a couple days and then it disappeared. And when I also reached out to the town administrator, she was unaware of it. She reached out to James Surratt. He was unaware of it. And message I got was that he might be checking in with his contacts with the state. But what in the
So
world
I
is-
did some sleuthing, Steve. I got an answer for you. Merrimack Valley Planning Commission does traffic counts regularly, and all of the data is available through their website. I also now have records back for 10 years. So it's their annual couple days on Plum Island Turnpike.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
It took me a little bit to sleuth them out as well. But now we know.
I'll give you Gerard's phone number sometime so you can just call the man direct.
Yeah.
Gerard's
There are other locations in Newbury as well, which I was interested to see. So you might see those, rope ties,
Sure.
other places.
All right, Kristen Sluther.
It's
Very good.
one other just quick thing. Steve made me think of this, but one of the people I asked if they were doing the traffic count was Ty and Bond, who is the consultant working on the Plum Island Turnpike Flap Grant project. And so that survey is still available to be completed digitally. It's on our website under the Plum Island Turnpike project page. We will be doing, I think, one more news blast for people to provide input for that. It's essentially going through some of the questions that were asked at the public meeting at the end of May. But all that, I think we have like 80 to 100 respondents already, which is pretty good. There were about 70 people at the public meeting. So all of that data is getting forwarded on to Ty and Bond, and they'll be sorting through it. The town has asked them to expedite some of their feasibility sort of draft ideas for that intersection we've just been talking about, Plum Island Turnpike, Plum Island Boulevard, Sunset Drive, and Old Point Road. Because of some of the conversations going on the both Sunset Club and also the former Plum Island Grill property, there's a pretty big area of town-owned right-of-way with all those 4 roads, and that is one of the areas of focus in the FLAP grant. So anyway, the Ty and Bond are working on presenting the town with some early recommendations for improvements at that crossroads. And when I see those, we'll be sharing them and posting them on the website as well.
And to remind the board, I think I've mentioned previously about this study that I'll be very interested in how they handle the no action alternative, particularly for the some of the stretches in question. I mean, Ty and Bond, being an engineering firm, probably likes to build, but sometimes the no action alternative is a viable solution compared to all the others.
Yeah, it's definitely looking at areas that have been identified as problems. I don't think they're going to be proposing things that people haven't already identified, but yeah, it'll be the next phase of this project will be very important for everyone to participate in responding to. There will be another public meeting probably in September is my hope.
Okay, very good.
That's it.
Okay. And if no one has anything else, I'd just like to say thank you for your participation tonight, Sadie. And it's nice to see you. And we'll see you again in the future. And if no one has anything else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Move
moved.
to adjourn.
All right, I have Steve and Larry with the second. Roll call, Peter, Larry, Scott, Steve.
Yes.
And myself, I say yes.
I'm good.
Yes. Meeting is adjourned. Have a good night, everyone.
All right,
We'll
good
see
night,
you.
everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.